8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Ramesh Piris and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The Mahasangha and the environmental organizations praised the decision by the head of state for promoting the use of organic fertilizer. The Director of Operations and Clinical Services at Allergy Immunology and Cell Biology Unit says patients identified are related to the strain present in the UK. The number of coronavirus cases confirmed in the country exceeds 111,000. The Department of Registration of Persons offices closed for general public until further notice. Limited services on all bus and train services, including long-distance services. The validity period of driver's license extended. In news overseas, Biden administration releases Trump-era deadly force rules for terrorist suspects abroad. And in sports news, Sri Lanka cricket postpones charity cricket match. Those were the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the local news. The Mahasangha and several environmental organizations praised the proposal by the head of state on the use of organic fertilizer. The president presented the cabinet paper called to provide solutions for the long-standing environmental issues in the country. The health sector has pointed out that the effects of the chemical fertilizers have led to a number of non-communicable diseases, including kidney diseases. The proposal to ban the use of chemical fertilizer was timely and praised by the farming community due to the health and environmental effects. The number of coronavirus cases confirmed in the country has exceeded 111,000. The Department of Government Information said that 1,228 persons tested positive for the virus thus far today, increasing the total infections to 111,090. Earlier today, 764 COVID-19 patients were discharged from hospitals, raising the recoveries total to 97,242. 13,161 persons are currently receiving treatment for coronavirus at several facilities across the country. 1,108 suspects of COVID-19 cases are also under medical observation at present. All offices of the Department of Registration of Persons may be closed until further notice after taking into consideration the prevailing COVID-19 situation. However, persons who wish to obtain the National Identity Card for urgent requirements such as examinations, interviews and to obtain a passport can obtain information by calling the main office in Colombo via 0115 226 126 and 0115 226 100. The public can also contact the Southern Province Office via 091 222 8348 and the Northwestern Province Office via 037 222 4337. Additionally, the Eastern Province Office can be reached via 065 222 9449 and the Northern Province Office via 024 222 7201. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
And we continue with more local news. All bus and train services have decided to diminish their services including the long-distance services due to the lack of passengers. Sri Lanka Transport Board Chairman Kingsley Ranawaka said that the buses will be assigned upon the demand of passengers. He also said that all heads of the provincial depots have been advised to continue their services considering the demand. Meanwhile, Railways General Manager Gamini Senviratna said trains will be operating as usual until the end of this week. However, the department has decided to reduce the number of train services in the next week, considering the dwindling numbers of the commuters. Accordingly, GMR added that Kandy Colombo, Badulla Colombo, Colombo Jaffna Kanke Santure, Colombo Pulan Narua and Colombo Beliata intercity trains have been halted. The Commissioner General of Motor Traffic, Sumit Alhakon, says that the grace period has been granted for drivers whose license had expired on the 31st of March 2021. Accordingly, the Department of Motor Traffic has decided to grant 3 to 6 months until the 30th of September for the renewal of licenses starting from the 1st of April 2021. The Commissioner General further said that this decision was reached due to the prevailing coronavirus situation in the country. The health units say that COVID-19 patients are being detected from various parts of the country as the new variant, which is rapidly spreading, is highly transmissible. The chief epidemiologist, Dr. Sudat Samaravira, said that once an individual tests positive for COVID-19 and the close associates complete the period of quarantine, new infections are identified through them. Dr. Samaravira added, previously new infections were identified in sub-clusters. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The Mahasangha and the environmental organizations praised the decision by the head of state for promoting the use of organic fertilizer. The Director of Operations and Clinical Services at Allergy Immunology and Cell Biology Unit says patients identified are related to the strain present in the UK. The number of coronavirus cases confirmed in the country exceeds 111,000. The Department for Registration of Persons offices closed for general public until further notice. Limited services on all buses and train services, including long-distance services. The validity period for driver's licenses extended. And that was the local news.
Finished? You have 1 more hour to write the exam.
Yes, sir. Always early.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
The main news story for tonight, the Director of Operations and Clinical Services at Allergy, Immunology and Cell Biology Unit, Dr. Chandana Jeevarendra says that patients who are suffering from COVID-19 identified in Colombo, Burlaskamur and Kurunegala are related to the COVID strain that is present in the United Kingdom. Dr. Jeevendra also elaborated, saying that the cases have been reported from the other parts of the island and investigations are currently underway to identify further possible strains of the deadly virus. He said that so far, 96 suspected samples are under investigations and a report will be compiled within the next 7 days, which will be handed over to the Ministry of Health. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And in Washlight tonight, Sri Lanka Transport Board has decided to limit the bus journeys due to the decrease in passengers amidst the prevailing COVID-19 situation and that several employees have contracted the virus. The SLTB Deputy Director General Manager Panduka Swarnavansa said, however, measures have been taken to ensure the operations of essential journeys as usual. He noted directives have also been issued to operate buses and ensure passengers are not inconvenienced. That was the Washlight, and now we move on to the headlines of the world news. Biden administration releases Trump-era deadly force rules for terrorist suspects abroad. Myanmar military steps up crackdown on protesters. Kentucky Derby overshadowed by calls for Sheikh Mohammed's horse to be banned amid concerns over his daughter. Those are the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the world news. The Biden administration has disclosed Trump-era's rules relating to the use of deadly force against terrorist suspects abroad, releasing them with several redacted lines to the American Civil Liberties Union and the New York Times as a part of a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit after the Trump administration refused to make them public. The rules, which President Joe Biden suspended on his first day in office while his administration began reviewing them, have come under criticism for making exceptions to standards about how and where direct action attacks were allowed outside the war zone. Myanmar's military and police have opened fire on coup protesters, leaving at least 5 people dead. Demonstrators had responded to an online appeal for nationwide protests today. In the largest city of Yangon, military and police personnel were deployed from the city centre to the residential areas. Plainclothed police officers were also reportedly on the lookout. Demonstrators pretending to be pedestrians occupied streets and voiced their opposition before quickly dispersing. The crackdowns continue despite an announcement by the Association of Southeast Asian Nations on April 24th. The Kentucky Derby Racing Commission said that they will not take action against United Arab Emirates Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, owner of this year's Kentucky Derby favorite Essential Quality. The KHRA said they received a complaint against Sheikh Mohammed from a group of human rights lawyers and students from the university calling for his suspension from racing events in Kentucky until he can provide proof of his daughter Sheikha Latifa bin Mohammed Al Maktoum is alive. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Biden administration releases Trump-era deadly force rules for terrorist suspects abroad. Myanmar military steps up crackdown on protesters. Kentucky Derby overshadowed by calls for Sheikh Mohammed's horse to be banned amid concerns over his daughter. That was the world news, and now on to development news. The Urban Development State Minister Dr. Nalaka Godeheva says that development activities must continue under strict health regulations as COVID-19 is still prevalent in the country. Otherwise, people would suffer the consequences of delayed development. He was speaking at the commencement of a 700-unit housing project launched for low-income families in Madampitia, Colombo. It is being carried out under President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor project under the guidance of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and State Minister Dr. Nalaka Godeheva. The Urban Development Authority is implementing the project with the financial assistance of 394 million rupees provided by the Asia Infrastructure Development Bank. That was the development news, and now we move on to sports news. In cricket news, Sri Lanka Cricket said that the charity match scheduled to be played on Tuesday at the Pallekele International Cricket Stadium between Sri Lanka guests Greatest 11 and Team Sri Lanka will not go ahead as planned due to the prevailing health situation in the country. The SLC further said, whilst this charity match was aimed at raising funds to help fight against COVID-19 pandemic, the management committee of Sri Lanka Cricket felt it is more prudent to postpone the game considering the larger picture of health situation in the country. Meanwhile, in the 28th day-night match in the Indian Premier League was won by 55 runs by Rajasthan Royals against Sunrisers Hyderabad in Delhi. Royals were 220 runs for the loss of 3 wickets in the allotted 20 overs. Joss Butler made an electrifying 124 in 64 deliveries, which included 8 sixes and 11 boundaries. Sanju Samson made 48. Sunrisers Hyderabad fell short of the target of 221 and scored 165 for the loss of 8 wickets in their innings. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Business news, the Embassy of Sri Lanka in Tel Aviv had organized a webinar on Grow Beyond Traditional Markets recently in collaboration with the National Chamber of Exporters of Sri Lanka, the Federation of Israeli Chamber of Commerce and the Israel Sri Lanka Chamber of Commerce. The aim of the webinar was to create awareness and a market access platform for Sri Lankan exporters through a discussion of market trends, potentials and entry expansion channels specific to Israel. That was the business news, and economic news follows.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
And in economic news, the Asian Development Bank's flagship annual economic publication, the Asian Development Outlook 2021, forecasts a significant rebound in Sri Lankan economy as domestic and global economic activity strengthens and vaccination campaigns gather momentum domestically and abroad. ADB projects Sri Lanka's economic growth to rise to 4.1% in the year 2021 and moderate to 3.6% in the year 2022. Growth in the near term will come from increased private consumption supported by low interest rates and pent-up demand is released, as well as recovery in investment supported by low interest rates, stronger global demand and base effect following the contraction in the year 2020. That was the economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue in partnership with the Ministry of Education introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
The weather report. The Department of Meteorology has issued an advisory for severe lightning in several provinces and districts. The advisory states that thunder showers accompanied by severe lightning are likely to occur at several places in the Sabaragamuwa, central and western provinces and in the Galle, Mathura, Kurunegala and Badulla districts. There may be temporary localized strong winds during thunder showers. The general public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by lightning activity. And that was the weather report.